Yeah, we got a 2008 Lincoln Navigator. Yeah, we're putting in the Avatel Avistart 4103 model. Already did the installation, but want to mention I put in the XK05 bypass module for the transponder bypass. Today's video is about how to use various test equipment and tools like the Power Probe tool, which is a logic probe that would show you ground and power. Your standard AutoZone Strauss Pep Boys test light, and then we got the Radio Shack multimeter. I would recommend for a newbie, a guy who's doing his first alarm system, whatever, to pick up one of these. Is only like 19 bucks. You can't go wrong. It's the safest way, the best way into doing any install. I would recommend this after your fourth alarm or system or accessory job. You can do more with a test light, and I mean you can do more with a multimeter, but after a couple of months of experience, you'll find out that a test light it's a very simple tool, but you can do a lot with it. And for the professionals, like maybe after your first 6 months, you should pick up one of these logic probes. You'll find it to be very handy, and it will cut your installation time in virtually half. Okay, let's start. First thing first, as an installer, you would always use the DCV mode. That will show you the voltages, and you can check for ohms, resistance when you're doing speakers or door locks, etc. You can use the diode continuity and check right here. That's the little diode symbol. DC, you would use that to check for current, small currents, milliamps with this particular model. So let's get started. Alright, first thing you want to do is you want to ground the negative terminal, the black terminal, on your multimeter to chassis ground. I grounded it using the test light alligator clip. You want to take your red probe, and this will be your test instrument. Okay, the first thing you gotta do, you gotta set up your voltage range. Being that this is a car and cars run in the 12 to 14 volt spectrum or range, you want to pick the highest voltage but not the greatest voltage. You know the voltage won't go past 20, so you want to be in the 20 range, the 20 volt range. So you would do 2 clicks from 2 volts to 20 volts, and then it will show you 0 volts on the display. Now you want to grab the lead, and you would test on the ignition harness. I already did the installation, so it's not necessary for me to test. You would try to find 12 volts, which on this alarm system, or remote start system to be precise, is red. And you'll notice if you got a good contact on the red terminal, the multimeter will read 12.5 volts. It's going to show you what's on the battery. Alright, so the red wire on the Avatel system is 12 volts. Now, right next to that wire, you got an orange wire, which is your accessory wire. you would try to locate it on the ignition harness. But like I said, we already did that. So you would stick it in here. How to test it? How would you test it now? You would take the ignition key, put it in the ignition, do one click, and it will show 12 volts. That's the accessory wire. Now you got to shut it back off just to verify it's at 0. You're going to start the car, and you notice that the voltage dropped. It dropped to 0 when I cranked the starter. That's verifying that that's the true accessory wire on this particular car. Now you got this wire right here, which is your second ignition. That's the pink with the white stripe on the Avatel system. You would do the same thing. You would take the key, you would look for accessory by doing 2 clicks, 1, 2, and it would show 12 volts. How to verify that's your accessory? You would crank it. You would see that the voltage dropped to 0, and that's your true accessory second ignition wire. Now, just to verify that this red wire is 12 volts, you would just stick it in there. You would turn the key to every position, and it would roughly stay at 12 volts. The reason why you got that current drop was that because obviously the starter is drawing current, but it's a true 12 volt source. Now for your first ignition, is this pink wire all the way in the corner. You stick your test lead right into the pink wire, turn the key to the first position, that's accessory, you notice it's still at 0, turn it to second accessory, you notice that it's roughly 12 volts. Now when you crank it, it should be in the range of 10 volts to 14 volts. If it's not in that range, that means it's not a true first ignition. Now we're about to crank it. We're about to start the car. You see, it dropped to 10 volts, and when I released the starter, it went back up to 14 volts. Now, for the starter wire, which is this purple wire right here, you would take your test probe, stick it right in that slot where the purple wire is at. Again, you're going to try every position. Accessory is at 0. Second accessory, second ignition, first ignition, still at 0. It's only going to show 12 volts when I crank the ignition switch, and when I release the ignition switch, it's going to go right back to 0. So now I'm cranking it. See, as soon as I let go, it went back to 0 voltage. That's your starter wire. And join me in video 2, where we'll go and discuss about the test light.